the Market Musings podcast with Fairbairn and Russell. Hello and welcome to the Market Musings podcast, where today we have two guests on the podcast, and they are from Forum Energy Metals, and the names are Rick Mazur and Ken Wheatley. So hello to you both. Thank you very much for joining us. Start with you, Rick. How are you?
Oh, excellent, Mark. Nice speaking with you again.
Sure. And where are you calling from, Rick?
Well, I'm actually up at my ski cabin, about the 3,200 feet elevation in beautiful British Columbia.
Nice. That sounds very nice to me. And Ken, where are you calling from then? Very welcome as well.
Hi there. I'm calling from a little village called Stony Rapids in northern Saskatchewan. I had to come out from our tent camp, about 30 kilometers from here. Almost didn't make the meeting. We had a lot of blowing wind, and I had 17 kilometers of ice road I have to come across, and it was pretty well a whiteout, so it was an entertaining drive.
Right. Okay. And then we have, of course, Kenny from Scotland.
How you doing, guys? Pleased to meet you. Good to have you on the podcast, as always.
Thanks, Ken. Nice meeting you.
Yeah. It's quite interesting. So we've got Scotland, we've got Holland, and then we've got Canada. So it's a nice global mix tonight. So yeah, it's always interesting when we get two guys in the podcast, because it kind of changes it up. But just looking at your bio for both of you, you have actually got 85 years of mining experience between you. And I actually done the maths, and if you add my age and Mark's age together, it doesn't even reach 85 years. So it's impressive. You've both had long and illustrious careers. And the whole idea of this podcast is to find out a bit about the people behind the projects, because people invest in people. You can have the best projects in the world, but if you don't have the right people driving these projects, it just won't work. So really, I think for the first 20, 25 minutes, Mark, we'll probably find out a bit about these two guys. Are you up for that?
Definitely want to hear about this experience of these two guests we have on today. So maybe Rick, we come to you first. Rick, do you want to go back as far as you want? Go back to school if you want, or early career, and just tell us about where you're from and how you got into this space.
Well, I guess when I think about my career as a geologist, I go back to when I was a kid, and I always had an interest in rocks, and would bring them back I always liked hiking down the creeks and the gorges and stuff like that, and would go on canoe trips in Algonquin Park in Ontario. Beautiful place. And when I went to school, when I went to university to study science, I took a first-year course in geology. And my professor was the very famous J. Tuzo Wilson, a very famous Canadian geologist, geophysicist, who really was the architect of continental drift and plate tectonics back in the 70s. And, he just inspired me so much about how alive the Earth was. And that was it. I mean, I would listen to his lectures, and I decided to become a geologist. Mm-hmm. Graduated in 1975 from U of T, and spent 10 years as a field geologist, starting out in the uranium business, actually, for quite a while, focused in Canada. And then I kind of moved into the coal and base metals divisions of the company I was working for. Worked in just about every province and territory in Canada during that 10-year period. Had some great experiences working in the north of Canada, Nunavut and Yukon. Great adventures, actually, in my career. And then in 1982, the Great Recession hit, we had double-digit inflation and double-digit interest rates back in those days, and that was my first experience in how cyclical this industry can be in commodities. So, having been let go from my job, along with probably thousands of other geologists at that time, I decided to go and get my MBA. And that kind of really opened up my eyes to, it's not all just about operations. It's about a whole organization that has to work together to make things happen. And after the MBA, I worked for a Canadian gold mining company that developed 3 gold mines. 2 of them are still operating. Unfortunately, we got hit by another recession in the late 80s. And one of your banks, and that National Westminster Bank, had a gold loan on our gold. Unfortunately, we had to pay them back. So that was a first good lesson to learn about how difficult the mining industry is. It's a tough business. And then in the early 90s, I went into the junior resource business, sort of on my own, and worked on a variety of metals, gold, of course, silver, nickel, copper, platinum, palladium. Had industrial minerals. Had a lot of fun in the 90s, and then 2004, I said, I got to do this for myself, and started Forum as a uranium company.
Wow. Okay, that's a great little history there, Rick. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. And I wonder, just touching what you said about like cyclical markets, they definitely are cyclical. We always hear that. But what is it you think that drives that kind of? What's the catalyst for whether the commodities sector's in a bull run or a bear run? What do you think? You've sort of experienced maybe 2 of these waves.
Oh, I've experienced more like 4.
Okay, 4. Well, even better.
It's 45 years of experience, Mark.
It's more like 4 ups and downs. What drives it? The commodity things get overheated, and then the supply aspect of commodities gets overblown, drives prices down again, and we go through another downturn. And mines that are high cost producers get shut down because they're the marginal producers. And then the cycle all starts over again because the supply situation is back to where demand greatly exceeds the supply. So that's the reason for cyclicity in our business.
And where do you think we are now?
Well, the global economy is really starting to take off here in a big way. I don't want to use the term super cycle. That was kind of overblown the last time when we had a good run in 2004 to about 2011. Or 2004 to 11. That was a good run in commodities. It was interrupted by the financial crisis of 2008-9 momentarily, but really we were in a good 7-year bull cycle there, and I think we're just at the beginning of another good bull run in commodities, and that's why we're seeing copper prices and nickel prices where we're at. The global economy is growing, and it's in transition, and that's why we went into the energy metals business.
Okay.
So, well, obviously, along the way, you've met our other guest, Ken. I think it was 2007 that Ken joined Forum. So how did you get to know Ken, Rick?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, I started Forum as a uranium company in 2004. I hired a fellow named Boone Tan, who was is credited with the discovery of the very large Key Lake uranium mine in Saskatchewan, in the Athabasca. He really kind of figured out these unconformity type deposits, and the uranium business was growing through 2004 to 7, and Boone was he was my chief geologist, but our project portfolio started to grow, and I needed someone strong who could manage the operations. Boone was a scientist. He didn't want to be managing exploration programs, etc. So I started looking around for someone with that skill set, and I met Ken Wheatley at a uranium conference in Calgary in 2007, and he was looking around for work, and we hit it off, and the rest is history. He's been with Forum for 14 years.
Yep, that's a long time, 14 years. So that brings us nicely around to you, Ken. And obviously, same with Rick. You can give us a bit about your background. You know, how you get into it. You can go back as far as you want, your childhood. You know, really the floor is yours for the next 10 minutes, just to tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I'm used to more talking about the geology and that kind of thing, so it's not big on talking about myself. But born in northern Canada, I've always been probably working or living in northern Canada for the most part, and bounced around quite a bit as our family, and was always going to be a scientist. I knew that I was going to be a scientist from 5 years old. That's all I ever wanted was science books and the rest of it. It was in grade 10 when I actually sat down and thought about it. It's about chemistry. I'll be doing titrations all day in a lab. Physics, no, that's too boring. Astronomy is my favorite, but I'm not smart enough in math. And basically left geology, which was a nice mix of everything. And so at that point, I decided geology was the way to go. And so went through university in Northern Ontario, Sudbury, Laurentian University. And my summers, I guess it'd be 78 and 79, were spent up in the Arctic looking for uranium. 1980, I graduated and joined a French company called AMOC that was working at a large meteorite impact up in the Athabasca Basin. And worked there for about 8 years and was involved in a couple of discoveries, uranium discoveries there that kept the mill going for about another 6 or 7 years. And then they offered me to either, they were shutting down exploration because we'd found these deposits, and they offered me to work either underground or get laid off. And I'm not an underground person, so I chose to get laid off and joined another French company. It was a subsidiary of Total in France, and got moved to McLean Lake, which is just on the northeast side of the Athabasca Basin. And there we discovered about a string of deposits, the Sioux deposits. And after 5 years, our company was looking at going public, and Total, being an oil company, decided, well, we don't want to build a uranium mill. We don't know anything about it. So they sold us to, at the time, Cogema, the French nuclear division. And so a bunch of us got laid off. And so at that time, I went to a German company called Uranerz. And that's where I worked with Boone Tan for about 5 years. and worked around the Key Lake area and various different places, northern Alberta. Found another few deposits in the Key Lake area, and was doing well there. And then the Germans decided, no, we're going to go anti-nuke, and we got sold off and divided up by Kojima and Canada's uranium company, Cameco. So I had a choice between the French or the Canadian company, and I went with the French because they sent me off to France every year, which I quite liked. And they had good properties. So I worked there from 98 until 2007. And about that time, I forgot to mention, yes, made another discovery with them, Midwest A, finished that off, and then the bureaucracy was getting to be too much, large French company, and the fun was going out of it. We had several departments watching every move that you're doing for safety and for the internal quality management control system and for 14,000 ISO and one. And I said, okay, let's take a look at the junior market, because there's a lot of them out there. They're making money and doing quite well. And that's when I met with Rick, and Boone was working with them. I thought, okay, well, this is obviously the right company to go with. So quit my job with at the time it was called Areva, and joined up with Rick in 2007, and away we went. We've been working on quite a few uranium projects over the years, and then lately realized, well, not lately, a few years back, we realized we need to expand our markets a little bit, our commodities. And this is when we started looking around, found a copper play that was being flogged by another company. And we looked at it and thought, this one actually looks like it could run. So that was our Janus Lake project. We picked that up. And then more recently, we picked up our Love Lake project, which we did not name. That was the Saskatchewan geologist who named that one. And it's now our platinum, palladium, copper, nickel play. And so we've branched out a bit, but we still, our core is the uranium projects that we have.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's mightily impressive. I mean, that's 8 uranium deposits you've discovered. Is there anyone else out there that can match that? I mean, you seem to be the go-to guy in the Athabasca Basin.
No. I think when Cameco tried to hire me, they told me at the time that I had more continuous years of uranium experience than anybody. And that was quite a few years back. So now I'm in I guess if you consider my summers in 78, we're now looking at 43 years of uranium exploration here. So, and for the deposits, I can't take credit for actually discovering them. I was on the team for the first few deposits, and then as I became project geologist and worked my way up, I can claim a little more responsibility, but it's always teamwork.
Yeah, but you're the common denominator through them all. That's good. That's good enough for me. So it is. So this is maybe a bit of a personal question.
You know what, Ken? He's being modest.
Is he? Yeah.
He's being modest. It's eight deposit discoveries is no accident. I mean, Ken is one of the top uranium exploration geologists in the Athabasca Basin. He's given many talks about these styles of deposits for many, many years at the International Atomic Energy Agency, at the Saskatchewan conferences, at other mining conferences. He's just being modest.
Any response, Ken?
I guess, I don't know. It's
Credit where's credit's due. That's the way I see it anyway. So just a sort of personal question between the two of you. You've obviously been working together for almost 15 years. What makes the relationship work for Forum? Because clearly the projects are high quality. The share price is going in the right direction. You've got some fantastic joint venture partners. So what's the magic sauce between the two of you, and indeed your wider team?
Well, I can start, Ken.
I'll jump in first. Yeah. So I'm the technical guy. Based on my experience over the years with the uranium, I can usually tell which projects are going to be good right from the get-go. And keep an eye out as to what's coming open. And, with our computer staking, we can, pick ground up fairly quickly. So I'm the technical guy, and I still spend a lot of time in the bush. As I told you, I just came across an ice road to get here from our camp. So I'm a hands-on guy. I like to see the core. I want to see what's coming up, and when I see something I like, just based on the experience of the years and seeing so many different deposits, I know when something is important and when it isn't. And on the other hand, Rick's the more people person, money raising guy. He's a terrier when it comes to getting into these conferences or meeting with investors and making sure people know who we are and raising money over the years. We've been through some lean years, and he's still always managed to raise money to keep us going. So yeah, that's sort of the way we divide things up.
Okay. Rick, what's your take? Go on.
Yeah. Well, I'm driven by discovery. I mean, that's what drives me, and that's what I want to achieve for my shareholders in Forum. So, and Ken does too, and for that reason, we've worked together, as he said, through some pretty lean times where we've had to eat macaroni and cheese instead of steak, and we've gone through a couple of really tough downturns in this business in the last 14 years, but we're still together. We're still driven to make that discovery for Forum.
Great. Well, talking about making that discovery for Forum, then let's talk about what you've got now. I'm very interested to hear about the uranium, but I wonder if we should leave that a little bit longer. Maybe we start with the copper project, the Janice Lake. So, who wants to take that? Who wants to tell us about that one? Which one of you would be better to?
Well, maybe I'll start with that, Mark. As Ken mentioned, about 4 years ago, the board decided to move into the energy metal space. We could see the green economy movement happening 4 years ago. Uranium was kind of waning, and it was getting very difficult to raise money on a solely uranium-specific company. So Ken and I looked at literally 100 projects in the energy metal space. Copper definitely was a major focus for us because we felt that copper was the one metal that's really going to take off in this green economy movement. And literally in our own backyard, a project that was being sold, being touted to us as a uranium prospect, I opened up the file and I started looking through it, and I'm going, holy cow, there's all these copper showings associated with it. And we dug into it a bit further, and that was it. This was a sedimentary style copper deposit, very similar to the Central African copper belt, that type of deposit. And we said, this is it. And I went and made a deal with the small junior that owned it. Ken looked at the geology, and the claims that they had were just a small portion of a very large sedimentary basin. So upon his recommendation, we went and staked 50 kilometers of the project. And in 2018, I raised after we acquired it, I raised $500,000, the hardest $500,000 of my life. Nobody cared about copper or the junior resource market at all. And raised enough money for Ken to go and drill 4 holes, and then maybe Ken, you can talk about the success we had there.
Yeah, so it was it was a tough little program. Had it was a fly-in with the Twin Otters and to get the equipment in, helicopter, and no one had been there on the ground for since 2003. I think it was the last time somebody had been there. So a good 15 years. So we basically had to do everything from scratch. And looking at the old drill holes, I determined the best area to drill with these holes, popped them in, and we hit copper basically in every single hole that we drilled. So, we were quite excited about this. But again, trying to flog it, nobody seemed to care too much until we brought the core to what's called Roundup in Vancouver. And we had the core on display at our booth, and various companies came by. And some of them took a good look at it, but I guess I should let Rick talk about how that deal went.
Yeah, it was that core shack, right, Ken? Yeah, it wasn't only Rio Tinto. We had several major copper companies get back to us, and we signed CAs, and they wanted to dig into the technical data on that. But certainly Rio Tinto was the most aggressive, and at PDAC in 2019, literally 6 months after we intercepted those drill holes, we had a deal with Rio Tinto.
Uncanny.
Yeah, I was just going to say, considering the market cap of the company at the time, from memory, I'm going to say it was probably $10 million. Is that about right? Probably from memory.
Yeah. The company market cap was 10 million, and we did a $30 million joint venture with Rio Tinto. So it was a good piece of business on our part. Again, teamwork. It was a small group of claims over the historical showings, but we staked 50 kilometers of it. So we made it a major company size prospect.
Yeah. And Rio have not exactly hung about either. I mean, they've been mega busy with drilling infrastructure. And what I find most astonishing as well, they've built this 110 kilometre trail, or road, for want of a better term, into the project.
Yeah, they drilled it in 2019 to verify the proof of concept that we proved in 2018, but of course they had to prove it themselves. Got some terrific results, drilled 3 targets in 2019, and then budgeted, had a good budget for 2020, including a 110 kilometer winter haul road to move the drills in and supplies, etc. And that got cut short. That was underway from January through to March of 2020, building that road until it was cut short by the COVID pandemic. So everything shut down. We didn't get the camp in, we didn't get the fuel in, and all that kind of stuff. So this summer, they spent the summer doing building an 80-man camp, and did a very thorough regional program of geology, mapping, geophysics, geochemistry over the full 50 kilometers of the project area, and drilled 18 RAB holes, which that's rotary air blast drill, really kind of a prospecting tool, just punching through overburden into bedrock, and delineated 3 more target areas that they wanted to drill. And this winter they got all the fuel in, they got the drills in, and they're currently drilling 3 new projects. They drilled three different ones, prospects, three different ones in 2019, and this year they're drilling three new targets that came out of the 2020 program.
Yeah, they're throwing everything at this. Is it not? I think I read, it may have been an interview that you'd actually done recently, Rick, that it's our second biggest spend worldwide for a joint venture.
It was in 2019. The 2019 program, it was the second largest exploration project worldwide. I don't know where it is in the Rio Tinto mix at this time. They've been very aggressively exploring for copper deposits around the world. Obviously, copper is a major focus for them.
Yeah, 100%.
And what's it like to work then in Saskatchewan? I mean, you mentioned there, I think it was Ken said you got around by ice road. I mean, can it be quite inhospitable in the winter?
You take that one, Ken. You're living it right now.
It's absolutely lovely up here.
I'm sure it is. It's very beautiful.
It depends on what you like. February was quite the month. We had I think we went down to about minus 51 was about the worst that we got.
Okay.
But it was almost consistently in the 40s. But this is what we need to get around. So if you're getting to the project on the ground, we need these cold weather so everything freezes up. So the swamps are frozen.
Okay.
Lakes are frozen. We can drive around instead of. Otherwise, we'd have to use a helicopter, and there goes half my budget. So wintertime it makes things much easier for us to get around. You just have to put up with the cold. So
you have to put up with the cold. Yeah, but the snow comes in and you effectively, it freezes and you drive over the top of it. So it's easier, as you say, to build a camp. And so is the winter the time when you get your sort of lifting gear in, your heavy lifting gear, your camps, and then what do you have to wait? I guess you have to wait until the snow kind of melts before you can explore. Is that right?
No, we're drilling right now. As both Rio at Janus and ourselves at Fur Island, our Fur Island project. That's where I'm looking after right now.
Okay.
And, it's easier to get around in the wintertime with the snow and everything frozen, so we can stay on top and not have the heavy equipment sink in any swamps.
Yeah. Wow.
Tell them how they make the roads, Ken, with the loaders and the tires and all that stuff.
Well, for the ice road, it's we have something called a snowcat.
Yes, I've heard of them.
Yeah, the large track vehicle, so it distributes the weight on the ice, so you can get on the thinner ice, and it has a plow, and off we go. We clear it off, and then once the snow is off, it acts as an insulation. Once the snow is off, then it freezes to about a meter thick, and then we can get the heavy equipment on driving on this.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
When you talk about snowcats, it reminds me of the film The Shining. That's the where he gets snowed in, and I've got this picture now of that's what it's like, and you're middle of nowhere, and you've got these snowcats and all this snow, and you're building these isolated camps. Let's just hope no crazy people are around. But no, that's it sounds like a fascinating place. I'd love to visit one day. And I think that as well, like that's that. I mean, was this like? Would you say this this project was almost like your big break, Rick? When you put 4 holes in, and then pretty much off the back of that, you got a JV with Rio Tinto. I mean, that's got to be pretty rare.
Yeah, well, you have to put it in context with the market at that time. Mm-hmm. 2018 was, 2017, 2018 were terrible years. A bear market had been going on for 6-7 years. It was very difficult to raise money, and for all junior explorers, and for us to make this deal with Rio Tinto was really well received by the marketplace, and also by other juniors. How did you make a deal like that? Holy cow, blah, blah, blah. And so it really helped put us on the map. It really did. To people seeing that we were partnered with one of the largest copper companies in the world really put us on the map, because it gave credibility to the project. Not that we felt that we needed that, because we knew that this was a could be a world-class project.
Yeah, and of course, as you said earlier, copper price doing exceptionally well now. So it's a good project you've got involved with there. But let's move on. Let's talk about uranium. So I have a lot of questions about uranium, but maybe first we need to hear about the project. And you've got seven projects, but the main one is Fur Island, which is another joint venture, and of course the one called Wollaston, which is another one that you've got there. So is it Ken? Do you want to tell us about the uranium portfolio?
Well, we've got, like I say, we have these projects, and we've what we don't want to look for, because it costs too much for a junior, and it takes a lot of time and effort, are the deep deposits that are 400 to 800, 1,000 meters down. So our projects are all around the edge of the basin, and so we can, it's relatively shallow, open pit targets is what we're looking for. And then we have it at the northwest, the southwest, northeast, southeast. We have these projects all around the basin in the main mining camp areas, I guess you'd call it. And so the one we're working on right now, Fur Island, it's being funded by Orano, the French government, because they have a mill that's within driving distance. And they want to keep it fed. So when Cigar Lake, which is where they're getting their current ore from, when that dries up, they want to have something else ready to come online. So they're being fairly aggressive about finding something in this area, which is why they like Fur Island. They approached us on that one and asked if they could again be a joint venture on this, and they're funding the program that we're currently running. Another project I just picked up is the Wollaston project, and that's only 10 kilometers south of the Rabbit Lake mine and mill complex, and about 30 kilometers from the McLean Lake mill, which Orano operates. So again, that's a very strategic area. And one of my specialties, I guess, over the years is going into areas that have been previously explored based on the old models from the 70s and 80s. And, as the years go by, we see more and more deposit types and where different models that are coming through. So I have this treasure trove of information on an older project like this that has been in work for a long time. And these are the best areas that I can see. So this is exactly what I staked up when that ground came open. I didn't take one huge block. I just picked out the prime areas that I thought were the best targets. And so we're just starting exploration on that. Next month, we're going to be doing a gravity survey, and that project will be drill ready after that. So that's another one of them. And then we have, properties down by the Patterson Lake, which is quite where NextGen and Fission have both found deposits. Anyway, it's we look for shallow deposits, and I like I say, it's just like our personalities. It's
yeah.
Don't forget Northwest Athabasca joint venture, Ken. That's one of your faves.
Yes, it's we actually have a drill and fuel sitting on site, and we're just ready to get. I'm hoping to get back to that one. We managed to find, they aren't deposits, they're showings. There's one small deposit, and I've discovered quite a few showings on the property, so it shows it's fertile. And what I have to do is figure out exactly where the big one is that's going to make it or break it.
Yeah,
but we have drill and fuel sitting on site ready to go. So I'm excited to get back to that project at some point.
Definitely. I think what would be interesting, Ken, for our listeners, is if you could give an overview of the Athabasca Basin and why there's so many uranium explorers there. I mean, I know it's high grade; it's probably the highest grade uranium deposits in the world. But why is it so concentrated in this basin?
Oh, that's a good question that a lot of people have been working on over the years. For sure, it's the highest grades in the world. Most places you're looking at 0.1%, maybe up to 0.5% for an average grade. Our MacArthur and Cigar Lakes, I think, are running 20% or higher. Out of the Sioux deposit, I've actually pulled grades of up to 88% over 0.5 meter length. So it's something funny happened in the Athabasca with the fluids scavenging the uranium and being able to concentrate it in one spot for a long period of time. A lot of places where you're taking a look at uranium around the world, the roll front deposits, it's sort of a live deposit. It moves along with time as these fluids are pushing it along. In the Athabasca, it seems to be a stationary, like a stationary roll front where just all the uranium keeps coming out in the same place and bringing the grades up to these levels that we have. So they're very small. They're very hard to find because of that. Mm-hmm. But the high grades, when you do find them, make it very easy, well, relatively easy to mine, especially if they're shallow. And with the new so-called new breed of deposit that we're looking for now, the old ones right at surface had a lot of metals that weren't necessarily good for the mill, nickel and copper, arsenic, and these weren't nice, clean metals that you can get out. They were sort of tied up with uranium, and so you couldn't really sell them on the market. But the new deposits that we're finding now, deeper down into the basement, are nice and clean. It's just basically uranium with a little bit of boron, and make it a very good material for going through the mill.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of companies exploring this area. I take it then. I mean, every major uranium major's got a finger in the pie in Athabasca Basin.
Yes, there's lots of infrastructure, a lot of experience, several operating mills or mills that can operate. If so some of them, such as Key Lake, are sort of mothballed for now, but they're able to get them up and running again if need be. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's like I say, it's basically it's the best place to look for uranium in the world.
Okay. Yeah, and it's mining friendly as well. I mean, there's many countries around the world that are. I mean, obviously you talked about Germany earlier on that you just dumped it. I'm trying to think, was it Kazakhstan or Kyrgyzstan? I can't remember. One of those countries recently banned uranium mining as well, but Canada seems to be very uranium friendly.
For the most part, yes. Saskatchewan definitely, it's a bread maker for the province, and so they're not about to shut it down. We had some running in at Elliott Lake in Ontario, but the grades couldn't compete. We basically put them out of business with the grades that we have here in Saskatchewan. So this is the bright spot in Canada for uranium.
Yep. And why, Kenny? You mentioned there that because of Kazakhstan or whichever had banned the mining of uranium. Why is that? Is that Ken? Is that because it's dangerous? I mean, is it dangerous to mine for it and dig it out?
Well, I don't know if you remember what I looked like when you saw my video for a short period of time there, but I'm on 43 years of uranium and I still have all my hair. And I can, like I said, I have these junior geologists who I get in the bush with me, and off we go. And they still can't keep up with me. That's when I decide I'll retire, is when they can actually start keeping up with me. So okay. I can't say, I can't say it's a dangerous thing unless you're going to do stupid things with it.
Sure. So okay. No, that makes sense.
I think it's more political reasons, Mark.
Oh, okay.
I think Mark, I think that the health and safety aspects of uranium mining far exceed any other metal that's being mined either underground or on surface.
Okay.
No, uranium can be mined very safely, and for the personnel on site and for the environment.
Okay.
Both MacArthur and Cigar Lake, because of the high grades, they're non-access mining. It's all robotic, and so nobody has to go down there in the actual mine itself and to be exposed to the uranium.
Okay. And I mean, in terms of sort of exploring for it and then getting it out, I'm trying to sort of picture how that would work. I mean, what does it look like? I mean, I'm assuming it's not glowing, green, but is it? But when you see like core and you can see flecks of copper or flecks of gold, what is it? What is it sort of chemistry makeup? I suppose I'm asking.
Well, the grades we have here, it's uranium. It's you can either get it disseminated forms around the main core of the body, and it just becomes rich and rich as you get into it. The really high grade stuff is usually black to a silvery, almost a silvery color.
Okay.
That 88% stuff I was talking about almost look like metal coming out.
Okay.
Tell them what it smells like when it comes out of the hole, Ken.
Yeah, it smells like cat pee.
Nice. Okay.
And I think that's probably some kind of organics that tend to like it and grow around it, and that's what the smell is coming from. It's kind of strange, but
okay. And I mean, do you know how? I guess you do because you're a geologist. But how is it formed? What sort of happens to cause uranium deposits?
Oh boy, we go on for.
Maybe this is too much.
Giving talks in Vienna about this and courses, day-long courses on this kind of thing. Basically, let's see. Uranium is such a large, and unwieldy element that it doesn't fit into the rock crystal lattice very well when rocks are being formed. So it sort of gets shunted off to the side as you're forming, feldspars or granites and all these kind of things. And it ends up with all the weirdo minerals at the very end. And now it's very mobile when it's oxidized. So if you get water that has a lot of oxygen in it, it'll pick it up, dissolve it, and move it along until it gets to an area that's reduced. Mm-hmm. And we have what we call conductors here, these big graphitic conductors that act as fault zones and passageways for the fluids to move along. And when it gets into the right spot, either due to, it's a big opening and it drops the pressure and out comes uranium, and or the pH changes and becomes, instead of oxidized, it's reduced, out it comes. We have lots of reasons for why the uranium would come out. But like I say, it's easily mobilized when oxidized, and then it becomes solid when it gets reduced. And it's that reaction that causes it to form.
Okay. And then when it's been mined, you mentioned a mill there. So what does the mill do? Does that then crush it up and allow you to sort it?
Yeah, it crushes the whole thing up, dissolves it all, and gets rid of the waste rock. And it's through various acid dissolution and flotation processes to get the uranium out, and they make what they call yellow cake.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a uranium oxide.
Okay.
And which most people don't realize, its uranium itself has a very slow decay. It's not very radioactive on its own. It's the daughter products as it's breaking down towards lead that are actually the dangerous stuff. And when we use our scintillometers and looking for radiation, we're actually finding bismuth, a radioactive form of bismuth, which is what the uranium is breaking down to. One of the forms as it's heading towards the lead. So, make it into a yellow cake. It's actually pure uranium, or very close to pure uranium, and it's not very radioactive at all.
Okay. And so you have this yellow cake, you call it, which is uranium oxide. And then that, presumably, does it then go to, so I suppose whatever, it depends what the end product is, but does it then go through, like, is it enrichment? Is it a bit like oil? You refine oil to make it into a useful product. Is that what happens to uranium? It goes to enrichment?
Yes, here in Canada, it gets sent down to Ontario, where they have several plants that will upgrade it, because there's the U-238 and U-235. Mm-hmm. And they want to concentrate the radioactive material as much as possible, or the one that's going to break down and go through fission. So they upgrade that part, and they run it through the CANDU reactors that we have here, or bring it up to a certain level where it becomes marketable, and whoever has reactors around the world will then start buying it.
So, yeah. Okay. Go on, Kenny.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I better step in here, Ken, or Mark will be asking you questions all night because I know he's fascinated with uranium. But just taking a step back for a second, I mean, obviously, the two joint ventures that you've achieved with Rio Tinto and Orano Corp has obviously had a fantastic effect in the share price. Rick, I mean, I think it's probably went from about 5 or 6 cents a couple of years ago, and it's now, I don't know, 40 cents a share.
Yeah, 6 cents a year ago.
A year ago.
And now we're today. I see on the market we're trading. We're pushing 40 cents. But not to be outdone, I guess. After joint venturing two of our major projects, Ken and I started scouring Saskatchewan again for other energy metal projects. And lo and behold, Ken had earlier mentioned our Love Lake nickel, copper, platinum, palladium play. It was open for staking. And I had enough experience in Laird Mayfitt complexes that produce these nickel copper deposits in my past to understand that this was a great opportunity. So we staked over 30,000 hectares of ground over this area that was had a number of historical nickel, copper, platinum, palladium showings, and that's our third project, which is gaining a lot of attention in the marketplace, and we own that one 100%.
Yeah, no, you're definitely got the magic juice between the two of you. So you have. So what's the roadmap like for 2021 then for Forum? I know it's hard to answer that. Obviously, we're still coming out of COVID, and there's so many restrictions and ifs and buts. But I mean, what would you like to see happen this year if, given normal exploration conditions?
Yeah. Well, actually, COVID, since the summer, since we all sort of figured things out last March through April and May, exploration is an essential service here in Canada, and mining is an essential service. So we've been able to continue our exploration activities in a very safe and healthy manner for our people in the field and the communities where we work. Things we're going to be expecting results from the Janus Lake Copper Project by the end of April. We'll be expecting results from the Fur Island Uranium Project around the same time, and from the first drill holes. It takes about 6 weeks. It takes about 6 weeks to get results from the drilling, and we'll have results coming in all the way through till June, say, and then July, August, we hope to be starting drilling our Love Lake Nickel project. So there's going to be lots of activity for 2021 on all three projects. And actually, Janus Lake, Rio Tinto probably will operate through the summer months as well, having built that 80-man camp right in the middle of the property.
Yeah, no, it's definitely exciting times ahead and a news flow rich period. Mark, I think that's a 45, 50 minutes we've been talking. I think if you get anything you want to finish off with, I think we've covered most things.
Yeah, I think we've certainly covered most things. And yeah, I like what you guys are into, the sort of energy metals space. I assume by that sort of title, if you like, that most of what you're mining will go to the energy market, whether it's uranium for power generation, I assume, which I'm all in favour of. I think it's a great way to generate energy, or copper for generating energy, I suppose. It's a great place to be, particularly in the green movement and the green economy that we're all going to see. And I think that uranium, although it's controversial, or uranium power generation is very green, and it's probably the best way to generate electricity.
Mark, actually one of your famous scientists in the UK there, James Lovelock.
Big fan of James Lovelock. Yeah.
In The Revenge of Gaia, his perfect world would have been all transportation was electric and it was powered by nuclear.
Yeah. No, I like James Lovelock a lot. Yes, and he put a lot into perspective about if you took all the uranium waste ever created in the world, it would fit into something that's a bit smaller than a football field. Whereas if you took all the carbon that's been emitted over the years through power generation and sort of solidified it, you'd create mountains. And I was surprised to hear him say he was such a fan of uranium, considering his sort of the sort of person I thought he was, which is very all about Gaia, like you say, Gaia and the whole ecosystem of Earth. But he's fantastic to watch. James Lovelock, anyone who wants to.
Well, in the latest advocate of uranium and nuclear power is Bill Gates in his recent book.
Oh, really? Okay.
Came out this year.
Okay.
What's the name of his book? How to Avoid a Climate Crisis. Something.
Oh, really?
It just came out, and his chapter on nuclear. He's a huge advocate of nuclear power. And the technology is changing. There's these small modular reactors now. A small modular reactor is about the size of a small apartment building, and it can heat 100,000 homes.
Yeah, incredible. It's really great.
Or power 100,000 homes.
Yeah,
interesting future ahead of us.
Great. It's fantastic. Thank you very much, both of you, for your time. I know you're very busy at the moment with the virtual PDAC, which is probably more exhausting than the real thing. But we do very much appreciate you coming on and talking to us today. Thank you both.
Yeah, and I appreciate, Ken, that you put your life in danger coming along that ice road in a whiteout just to speak to us. So many thanks for that as well.
No problems. It's just everyday life up here in the boonies. So
yeah, it would probably scare the crap out of me, so it would. But as you say, it's probably just an everyday occurrence for you. But there we go. No, safe journey back, Ken, and Rick. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
thanks for
Ken.
having us, guys. Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Right, great. Thank you for listening to another podcast from Market Musings with Ben and Russell. Tune in next time.